Welcome to the Goddesses of Social Work podcast, hosted by Renita Ray Davis, licensed clinical social worker, board-approved social work clinical supervisor, and facilitator of the Goddesses of Social Work supervision community. Join us as we travel through the social work journeys told by the Goddesses of Social Work community members, past and present, as they make their way toward clinical licensure.
Welcome to the Goddesses of Social Work podcast. I'm here today with Alisihia Ford, LMSW. Alisihia is a native of Montgomery, Alabama, where she currently resides with her husband and son. Alisihia received her bachelor's degree in social work from the Alabama State University and held the crown as Miss Social Work. Alisihia later went on to pursue her master's degree in social work from Troy University, graduating with a 4.0 GPA. She began her career with Quality Health Services, then transitioned from gerontology to adolescents. Alisihia served 8 years with Alabama's Early Intervention as a service coordinator supervisor. Alisihia poured into children and families from birth to 3 with intellectual disabilities and delays to meet developmental milestones. In 2023, Alisihia had a shift in her social work journey post-licensure and entered ADOC, Alabama Department of Corrections, as a licensed mental health professional. Alisihia wants everyone to know that she stands on 1 Peter 4:10, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as God's stewards of God's varied grace. Welcome to the show, Alisihia.
Hi.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Alisihia, I loved that you were crowned Miss Social Work at Alabama State University. And it got me to thinking about the word competitiveness, and that must have been a friendly competition that your School of Social Work delivered. And congratulations, by the way. You're the second Miss Social Work that I've met. So I apparently surround myself by beautiful people. But it made me think about competition within the field of social work. And yours started early on with your BSW degree. Talk to me about how you've experienced competitiveness throughout your profession.
Whew. I am a very competitive person. But honestly, I feel like the competition is within myself, if that makes sense. Because I am a given person, when it comes to competition, I feel that it is good to a certain extent because sometimes we lose focus because we're trying to compete with others. So honestly, I feel like I missed out on a lot of opportunities because I tried to be so humble. But when it came to being Miss Social Work, I actually was nominated because my efforts were seen. And I always just want to help somebody. That statement when advisors tell us, I need to hear more, I just always want to help people. So when it comes into competition with others, what I always seen is I have to look out a different lens because what I want or what I think is best is not always the right thing, or it may come to hunt you. So with me, I always just want to give 100% when people want to do bare minimum. So I don't look like it's a competition because it's a normal for me. I just feel like that's what it is. So I never, when people saying it's a competition, no, it's just life. It's natural. Especially if you're doing something that you love and it's the kindness of your heart. And sometimes I do wear my heart on my sleeve. And so that's why I just have to just always remain humble. And I feel like when you're doing what's right, everything your heart desires is gonna come to you. So there's no need to compete. No, and I'm the only child, so it was never a competition. From home, I was always in the spotlight, and sometimes I just want to get out of it. But some people will nominate you, and it's like, okay, I could do this with no effortless. So that's my insight on it.
Absolutely. That's such a great answer. And, I think you and I were talking the other day, and I said to you, excellence is your essence. I don't know if you remember that. And you present yourself in excellence. And so that excellence then ends up winning awards like Miss Social Work. And so if you are competing with yourself in your own excellence, that effort, like I love that you said that was such a great phrase, that effort will be seen. Mm-hmm. You know what? Since you brought up 1 Peter 4:10, this is going to be a Bible toting podcast episode. I was just I was just reading Proverbs 31. It's one of my favorite. You know, a person who finds a wife of noble character, who can find her, and the last verse in that scripture, in that chapter, is let my works be praised. The Proverbs 31 woman goes through and is talking about all her works, and it's saying let her works be praised. And when you said that, my efforts were seen. Immediately I went to the Proverbs 31 woman, like, yes, when your efforts are just of you taking care of you and yours, those will be seen.
Yes. We don't have to go searching. It'll just fall right in your lap.
Absolutely. That's such a great answer. I am going to ask you, what did you want to be when you were growing up, or who did you want to be most like?
Oh, wow. So growing up, my mom, we were a middle class family. She was a single mom, worked for the state of Alabama 30 something years, but we had to use all of the resources that were available. So I received my health from the local health department. I remember my pediatrician's name, Penny White. I love Penny White. When I say she made sure my mom was informed, she took her time, she was kind, she was patient, she was genuine, and she wanted to make sure not only was the parent informed, but the child as well. And when it came time for me to seek a gynecologist and all that stuff, she laid out, the picture for me. She made me respect myself. And it wasn't forceful or anything. It was like another mom for me. She actually attended my graduation. So I said, I want to be a pediatrician. I want to help people. I want to be just like this lady, because I would always see doctors and they were Caucasian people, and I never thought it could be in my reach. And so just to see her in many, many years, I know a lot of people were under her care. So even though my mom sometimes would think that she was failing me, I was like, no, mom, you laid that foundation. I'm happy I was there. And then once things got better for us, I did have a private doctor, but I was like, hey, I want to be just like her. It's just every time I went in, I was welcome. She knew my nickname. It was just, she picked up. She didn't have to look at a chart. She looked at me and she saw me. And so I want to be just like that.
Absolutely. Dr. Penny White is a legend in Alabama social work, specifically because she did help so many kids who were on Medicaid, or all kids. She is a legend in Alabama. Her and Dr. Aletha Barber, I don't know if you remember her, but they are beautiful African American women doctors here in Montgomery, Alabama, who took care of a boatload of kids and took really good care of them. So shout out to Dr. Penny White.
Yes. If you're saying this, I appreciate you. I really do.
Right before we hit record, I do a prayer to the ones who came before us, thanking them that we have this platform and we're able to share our voices and our stories. And she's one. Dr. Penny White we thank her for laying the foundation for us to be here today. That is a great shout out to her. Alicia, I am so excited to hear about your social work journey. And how did you find out about social work? How did you get here? Where are you? Yeah, tell me all of it.
It's very interesting. Like I said before, I want to be a pediatrician, but when I entered Alabama State and I had to take chemistry classes, biology, I was like, this is not for me at all. I was like, I need something else. That dream was down the drain. So I met with my advisor and she kept asking me questions. And I said the saying that we hear, I want to help somebody. And being uninformed, I was like, hey, I probably want to be a rehabilitation specialist, because I'm thinking you could lay on the couch, I could talk to somebody. And my counselor said, Alicia, that is not what that is. And she said, maybe you need to look into social work. And we explored all options. And that's when I first heard the term, it's a broad field. You can work with children, you can work in the hospital, you can do all of this. So I said, okay, well, I'll give it a try. Soon as I had my first social work class, no, I didn't do that. It was another class, uh, psychopathology we had. And I was like, I really like this, talking about different social work techniques and therapies and how to conduct groups. I was like, I like to talk. And when I talk, people take note. I'm just sorry, I do make an impact, and I listen. I have that to discernment to give good advice. So I said, okay, I like this. Um, I took the classes, graduated top of my class at Alabama State. The end of my semester, right before I graduated, I became pregnant. So I took the first job as a QDDP with Quality Health Services. It failed tremendously. I was working there roughly 6 months. I was thrown in the position. There were no guidelines, no policy, no procedures. They were telling me to connect people to these different waiver programs. And for me, I felt that I should be in the community and make those connections to know who I'm trying to connect with. And my director did not know at all. And we had our first audit, and they found out she was committing Medicaid fraud, and they closed them down. And I just left. I was like, oh no, I don't want any part of this, because I knew one day I wanted to be licensed. And I didn't want my name to be in any of that. So that's when I went to Project Wiggles and Giggles. I was a service coordinator first for like 2 years, and my boss saw something in me and she offered me a position as a supervisor. And so there I work with children from birth to 3 with developmental delays and disabilities. And when I say I loved it so much, because in that arena, you can touch the babies, you can hug them, you see them grow. When people say, hey, you'll never walk, you'll never talk. And just to bring the family together, inform the mom that, hey, because Down syndrome, you don't have to be an older parent. Let's talk about the options you have. The different Alabama Department of Rehab is here. We come to provide services. Let me give you some respite care, just to provide some relief for them. It was very rewarding, but I felt stagnant and complacent. I was like, I know God has more for me. He has more for me. I felt like I just was there because it was job security. So I said, hey, my son is older. I need to go back to school. COVID just hit. They had waived GREs, because I'm good at social work, but I struggle with taking tests. On the BS level, I took my test 3 times and I failed it 3 times. The last time my anxiety was so bad, I urinated on myself in there taking the test. And the lady felt so bad for me. She gave me a jacket to tie around my waist, and she was like, baby, it's gonna be okay. And I already knew in my heart I was gonna fail because I felt defeated. So I said, you know what? I'm not gonna give up. So guess what? I can't pass this test. I'm going to get my master's. God opened the door. They waived the GRE. I'm going to school. And I feel like seeking a master's degree is a different level than a bachelor's. You want to go and play, and you get away, from your parents. You have that sense of freedom. But with my master's degree, I was focused. I was determined. I was like, I'm going to do my best. I know. And a lot of people at the time were telling me, entering the 1-year program, oh, you can't work. You can't actually work this year and intern, because we had to intern 500 hours within normal business hours. I had a great boss at the time. She just told me, hey, Alicia, I believe in you. So if you write extra treatment plans, if you work on weekends, I'll let you flex. So I was interning with Founder Renewal, and they work actually with the correction department. So that's how I found an interest in my new employment. But then I was like, okay, she's working with me. So I was not stressed out at all. I just had to ask for patience from my husband, my son, because my son would tell me, Mom, do you have another family? And I'm like, baby, I'm trying to better myself for us, for the family. And I promise you, Mommy will make it up. I'm just sorry right now. But I was not stressed at all. I love what I did. I still love my job, and I was able to get it done. And like I said, I graduated with a 4.0. Once I received my license, I gave myself 6 months to get my LMSW. And one thing I want to tell people, I had another lady, a classmate of mine, she wanted to study with me. That was the worst decision I made. Because when you say go back to the competitiveness, I'm not competitive, but when I have a goal, I want to stick to it. I don't want to play. I don't want to go out to eat. We need to study. I had time frames where I used back then it was called Pocket Prep, but now it's a behavioral health app. I wouldn't advise anybody to do this, but I'd be at the stoplight in the morning time on my Pocket Prep, answering questions on my lunch break, answering questions. I had my book, I bought the practice test, I was determined. And so when we went in, her and I both took the test on the same day. We prayed. I didn't worry. I was prepared, and I passed it on the first try. And the thing that I think was different from the BS level to the MS level is I took things serious. I had a goal. I have a family. I needed something to motivate me. And so after that, I just told my boss at early intervention, I had tapped out on how much money I can make. And it was the worst decision for me at the time because I felt like I left something that was known. I left something that afterwards, some of my clients from early intervention had my personal number. They were calling like, Miss Alicia, what happened to you? My baby's not going to make it without you. And I will always tell them, don't look at the person. You look at the services being provided to your child. You know how they're supposed to be provided. So you ensure that the person coming into your home following the same guidelines. No, I'm not your friend. I'm your case manager. But I always see people and I treat people out the kindness of my heart and with respect. So it was just very hard for me. I know, Renita, I talked to you about it, about going back and forth, and I'm like, I can't leave, but I want to do better. Once I received that license, it opened up so many doors. I interviewed for the dialysis clinic. I interviewed for Department of Mental Health, Crossbridge, and the job I'm at now. And everybody wanted to hire me. Everybody offered me a job. And I was just in between. I'm like, I don't know where I want to go. And so I end up going to ADOC and I toured the facility. It scared the mess out of me, especially when that gate closed. I'm like, oh my God, you can't have your cell phones. I'm like, this is not for me. But I felt welcome. Soon as I walked through those doors, I seen people and they were just like, hi, beautiful. The workers, the inmates. I'm like, hi, just a little timid, hi. But I knew then I wanted to be there. So I took the offer and I've been there ever since. And I really love what I do. It's trying sometimes because of the position you have to fight with DOC and Yes Care. Yes Care is a visitor in DOC home. So you not only have to follow Yes Care policies and procedures, you have to follow ADOC as well. And sometimes, majority of the time, you're caught in between the two. And I know before, Renita, I told you, and I was so serious about it, where I had to understand I had to protect my license because I have to have a license wherever I go. And I had to be verbal about that a lot of times. My boss told me one time before that I had to take my social work hat off. And I was like, I can never take that off because I'm always a social worker. Because in my current position, I'm functioning as a counselor, but I'm still a social worker. So right now I just love what I do. I'm working in the mental health ward and we work with clients who are suicidal. So that's what I have going on in my social work journey. And what I want to do with it, I plan on getting my clinical license next year when I finish up my supervision hours. I can't tell you what I want to do yet because what I'm trying to get out of is being so tied down to a job. Not that I have to, it's because I do a great job. And I see progress within my clients. When I first entered this job, My boss said, hey, you may have 5 or 10 people in your group. I have 30 to 40. I have waiting lists in my groups. Women will show me they can stop, thinking, act. They can tell me therapeutic techniques, what they're doing and what they need from me. And it's like, do I leave this vulnerable population? But I have to think about all the time, if something happened to me, if my health fails, they will replace me. So what I'm thinking about is I love to decorate. I love things to be beautiful. Why can't I implement that and come up with my own grant or my own program and have the state or somebody to fund it? Why can't I? I want to dream and I want to dream big. So wherever life takes me, I have type A personality. I have to get stuff done. I need stuff to go in order, like getting married, having children, all this stuff. It's like I want to relax. I want to receive those licenses, and I want to just try to focus on getting licensed in other states and just chill for a minute. That's all I need to do. I really don't want to. Right now, I thank God every day I don't have to rely on blood pressure pills. I'm not a diabetic. I don't have no issues going on, and I want to remain that way. And how I'm functioning right now, I won't make it because I'm an overthinker. I need to relax. I need to get my life back and under control and just live day by day right now. I taught in my class, we're going to make some short-term goals right now. We're not looking for long-term goals right now because who we are day to day, we evolve. So what I want to do now, next week, I probably don't want to do it anymore. And that's fine. It's okay. It's okay, Alicia. It's okay. And I really talk to myself like I showed you before. I believe in affirmations. I say with my son, and I have said this on supervision before, that he's watching. And so he thinks he has to excel and he has to be perfect in everything. And I don't want the first failure to hit him and it take him out. So I'm working on me so he can work on him.
Failure is just experience, right? You get to have this experience and like, okay, what did I learn? Oh, I don't want to do that again, and just keep it. You know what? You did such a good job talking about your journey. And I'm going to go back a little bit, okay? Back to Alabama State University. The fact that your advisor was able to articulate so well all the broadness and the variety and the passion for social work. I'm just like, the whoever is talking to the folk at the university level about social work, they have done a fantastic job that other people who aren't social workers can talk social work up and convince you to change your major. I just want to acknowledge ASU for that. That's a big, yeah, that's a big deal. But I also, how did you, and I'm assuming I'm tying this into ASU because a lot of people, for me, for instance, I graduated great university, but I really didn't know the importance of license until 10 years post-masters. When I then was mandated because of the job I was at, had to have my license. I got it. And then, like you said, all these doors flew open, right? But for 10 years, I didn't realize how important being licensed. Now, I also want to say there is a great value in the MSW, right? There's great value in the BSW. You can get lots of great jobs, but being licensed does open up way more opportunities. How did you know, even at the BSW level, how did you know the importance of being licensed?
So honestly, Renita, Alabama State did pave the way, but they really didn't tell us the importance of a license. I just wanted to seek opportunity on my own. The importance of a license came when I went to Troy. To be honest, the first day we got in class, Miss Delonta Ross, I think that Miss Ross, she told us to get your license. Don't wait. Every class, she told us the importance of a license. She told us how to study, how to set time frames. And I feel like, again, that's why I really pursued it. And I had a different mindset around becoming licensed. And I feel like on the BS level, that's why I played so much. It was just a thing. Everybody said, hey, you want a license? I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And I feel like if God gave me that license then, I wouldn't appreciate it. I wouldn't try to protect it like I do now. And so nothing against them. It was just, and they were going through so many different transitions at the time. And so they started talking about license once we were about to graduate. They gave us a packet, maybe a month of 100 questions a month prior to us graduating. And so I was just so happy to be getting up out of there that I didn't really, look at the information, to be honest. So it didn't happen until master level.
I love that. That's perfect. Another shout out to Brown Sugar, Dr. Jolanta. I knew her as Jackson. I think she got married again, but Dr. Jolanta Jackson is shouting her out and the importance of the license on the first day of class. But then that brings me to a second question then. How did you know, for me, going from my BSW to my MSW, I didn't know how life-changing that was going to be. How did you know to get your graduate degree?
So again, it was just something, I feel like what you said about defeat. I felt stagnant and complacent. So I wanted something more. And so I did the research on my own. I'm like, if you want something else, it's not going to fall in your lap, Alicia. You are intelligent. You know how to read. You know how to Google. You know how to go down to the board and talk. And so right about now, they probably know my name. I call because what I didn't know, and I know prior I was talking to you about it, about having to be in supervision when I was weighing my options. I didn't know it was mandated now for us to get the life. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna do it because life. I'm trying to learn this new job. I want to be best at it, and I had to get supervision hours. And so I didn't know that. And I contacted the board. I was back and forth. And I said, okay, well, I know you don't have to explain anything else. And I wanted to be right on it as soon as I got my license. It was like, no, 30 days, you can't receive any continuing education units. And I wanted to, again, I want to keep my license. I want to protect. I don't want to have to take this test again. So it's like, I want to be on it. Right now, I don't renew my license till next year, but I have all of my hours and more. And now for me, it's not even about continuing education hours. I want to sharpen my act. I want tools in my toolbox. So I look at different things just to be knowledgeable, especially working in a prison. I need to know what opioid addiction and substance are. I need to know what dialectical behavior therapy is. I need to know what mindfulness is. I need to know. So I just have a different approach to things now, being a professional.
I love it. Absolutely. And just a shout out to you and your groups. I remember when you started the group and now you have a waiting list and the life change. I know some people say, I kind of hate this phrase. I hate it. I'm even bringing it up. We're in it for the outcome, not the income. We can be in it for the outcome and the income, but let's just sit in the energy of the outcome for a minute. That outcome, being able to see those clients of yours showing you all the things that you've talked about in their groups, doing it within their own little pods and communities, and even sharing it with their cellmates or whatever, that outcome is very welcoming to a social worker to know, you know what, they're listening, they're seeing, they're doing, and it's truly changing their lives. Do you want to speak to the outcome that you're able to witness in the clients you're serving?
Oh, for sure. When I say it's so rewarding, days where I feel drained or compassion fatigue or just burnout coming along, someone would come. They actually wrote me where they made this picture of a pony and it says shine bright, Miss Ford. I was gonna quit one time before because someone said they was gonna throw blood and urine. I don't think if I told you that before. And I was like, I can't do this because I want to go home the same way I come into this facility. But one of the inmates told Miss Ford, I don't care if it's one person in here, you changed my life. You make me look out a different perspective, and she has life without. And I'm like, just for her to say, I will not end my life because they're selfish. It affects the people that I love the most. And I don't want it to be a ripple effect where they think it's okay. So for them just to do that, stop thinking that. And I always tell them, if you're okay with the consequences, you're an adult. But I at least want you to stop and really think about it. So I don't know, it brings tears to my eyes just to see that they're still people, they're learning, they're growing every day. And I always tell them there's new laws that's coming out. So you never know where God can turn that thing around and you can walk right home to your loved ones and you want to be happy with what they see and who you are.
Absolutely. My mantra today was believe the impossible. If you
Yes.
feel like it's impossible, it's not, right? I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. One, for the passion that you have. I know that in our community, I'm very mindful to not call the clients that you serve inmates, but to call them clients or consumers. And for you to say just now that they're people and they're making different decisions, and even if they have life without, they're having different perspectives, that is impactful. And I want to thank you. I know it feels like a thankless job sometimes, especially within the community that you're working in, but thank you so much for showing up for those women every day.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Before we move off your journey, I want to kind of dig in a little bit because my favorite part of the story, there's so many favorite parts, but one of my favorite parts is, once you get your clinical, and I know we're making short-term goals right now, but the goddesses, we believe in vision boards and writing that thing down. And I loved hearing you talk about using this thing that you're innately good at, making things beautiful, arts and crafts, all of that, and trying to think about how that could be your career trajectory within the profession of social work, merging the thing that you're good at with the profession that you've been trained in so that you can have a more fulfilling career. And I'm excited about that expansion of thought for you.
Yes. And you're the one who posed it to me. You was like, I need you to think about it. I hear idea right now with what you're going through, Alicia. You like to, decorate, or, you like to look nice. My thing is, if you look good, you feel good, and I can go and just seize the world. So I want other women to find beauty within themselves. Because, hey, like I talk about self-care and stuff, it's not all about, getting your nails and stuff done like that. But I need to take my power back as a woman. So if you hear somebody else telling you it's okay, you will actually know it's okay, And if you experience it for yourself, you'll want more of it. So I feel like it'll be rewarding and fulfilling for me. And I just feel like if it don't bring in income initially, I keep doing it because it's something I want to do. And even if I have to do it part-time, I keep investing in myself and something. I just have energy and I just want to see others, just uplifted. That brings me so much peace.
It will bring in income. No worries. I feel if you build it, they will come. There is an audience looking for one of my favorite mantras that I say on a daily. For instance, Thursday, my calendar was looking a little sparse. And on Monday, I just start saying, people are looking for me and what I do and are willing to pay me what I ask for or better. And the folks come. And so you'll have an audience and you will have people who are willing to pay you what you ask for or better, and this will be your niche. All right. I'm moving away from your journey. It was so great. You did so good. But I'm going to move on to our next question. And it is, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, social work is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States. And what we know to be true is that we are on the front line for some of the toughest crises this nation has faced. Alicia, can you give me example or examples of your frontline experience as a social worker?
Yeah. Actually, the position I'm working in now, especially after COVID-19 happened, it limited our clients from actually how visitation is rendered, even communicating with their support system. So we're trying to provide hope, and we're saying it is the family system. How if that was abruptly taken from you? And so we're there trying to provide hope and to prevent suicidal ideation. But how? With working in a prison system, holidays, for crisis such as COVID, we had no breaks. We still had to work in fear of taking some home to our families. These women, there's 75 to 175 women in one dorm. How can you quarantine effectively? How can you stay by yourself? They live in a daily fear. So for us, every day we're providing crisis intervention. We have to self-reflect before we come in, because they don't ask for us to come in projecting how we feel onto them. So just coming in with knowing that and having a different mindset about doing this job, that it's so much that it entails that you wouldn't even think about, where they don't even want services, where they say just forget about it, because the people who I love and adored, a lot of them have died because of the incident. So for me, it really was an eye opener for me working in, this type of facility, and still trying to deal with the teletherapy, and a lot of them not understanding, or, feel like I don't want to talk to this person on the screen. And, a lot of misdiagnosis going on, because you can't actually do a correct mental health, observation, because they're missing pieces where they have to write, what did you see? Did I miss something? So that's my experience, and it's a continuous issue that we're fighting through right now, until we become readjusted to how we're providing services. And one thing about it is a lot of losses that they have experienced. We're working on a lot of trauma therapy. That's big right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing humanity back into this particular population and sharing that humanity with our audience today, and reminding us that even though that we're out here in the community or the world experiencing this pandemic in such closed, confined spaces, imagining experiencing the pandemic in those settings as well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sad. Just the conditions that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And, as a contractor for DOC, is you can't say much. The what they're eating, their outside time for sunlight. So for me to come in to tell them how my client can benefit for being outside and not being having adamant time where they have nothing to do. So yes, they're gonna fight. Yes, they're gonna indulge in drug usage. They have nothing to do. With limited movement, where we can go in to make a difference, but we don't have the opportunity because we have limited resources. So it's just a constant battle every day.
Yeah. I just am thanking you for the work you do again, because a lot of people can't do this. I know for me, I my hat always goes off to folks who work in DHR and DFAC settings, because that's not a setting I ever wanted to work in, because it's tough. And the prison is another setting that's really, really tough. And yet you are speaking about it with such humanity and compassion and passion that I don't think, and I know you probably already know this, you're probably a unicorn. Yeah.
Yes, I'm telling you, the inmates drew me a picture of a unicorn. And they said shine bright. It's a big picture in my office where they wrote their names, and they put different affirmations like brave, courageous, beautiful, just all for me, and it say Miss Ford. So I just look at it every day.
Yeah, there's a reason to keep coming back. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Alicia, moving on to our next question. It feels like we've talked about some of your belief systems that changed, even like how you changed how you approach the BSW licensure to the MSW licensure. But, what is one belief about social work that you started on this journey with that you feel has changed the most?
Oh, you helped me with this one so much, that social workers are overworked and underpaid. I would always hear this. You should come into the career not wanting to become rich, that you're going to always reach burnout, it's going to come, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, if I can understand my triggers, I can understand what it looks like, I can address it head on. I learned I can negotiate my pay, that I'm worth it. So I can say no, and guess what? Tomorrow I can have another job meeting what I asked for, because I always believe in me being an asset and not a liability. And so that won't be my story. I lived in fear for so long, thinking a job had me and all this kind of stuff. The licensure and my belief and my faith in God has changed all of that for me. I will not live in fear. If I want to take my PTO, I'm going to take my PTO. My husband and I are going for our anniversary. I'm going to be off for a week. For Christmas, I'm going to be off for a week. So it's just like things like this I would never do. I always put my family to the back burner because I always feel like I want more. I want more. I want more. And it's like God said, hey, find peace in the moment. Be grateful for what you have, because when I bless you, baby, like it's gonna be awesome. So I'm just here, and I'm knowing what he said about my life. So I'm just believing in him. So I will not let that be. When people say, oh, you're a social worker, oh, you don't get paid. Oh, I make great money. I make great money. And I'm not overwhelmed. I did go into this pivotal point where, I would cry. I was so exhausted. And it's because I was trying to fight the system. And I had to understand that it was like this when I got here. It's going to be like that when I leave. So certain things non-negotiable with me when it comes to me risking my license, but trying to fight how DOC run its facility, I just can't. I just can't use my energy to that place. But other than that, I'm good now. I really try to make sure I maintain my health. Because like I said, I don't want to rely on no daily pills. So that's just my different shift in my mindset. No, I'm not going to be broke. No, I'm not going to be overworked and burnt out. Don't speak that on my life. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I look forward to going to work. I look forward to talking about, and I would always feel scared to come when I feel like I deserve more because I'm making more money for you. Why can't I reap some of the benefits? You're telling me how your company going and this and that. But what about me as an employee? I deserve more too. So now if I want it, I request it, and hey, I'm looking forward to it. Well, I thought I was not seen. My boss told me, come in, we have a performance eval. So I want to get you more. I had to look to see what it would be. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you can negotiate if that's not what you want to hear. I said, I will. So once we come back with numbers, we'll negotiate. And I never thought in a million years I would have that conversation, because I always thought you're supposed to accept what, I'm just humble what somebody gives you. No, I deserve more. I deserve what I'm putting out. And I do. I'm a really good social worker.
You're a really amazing social worker, actually. You're amazing. I love that you're not afraid to negotiate your salary. And I was thinking too, I love how you started the conversation of your LMSW journey in regards to this job, just all these jobs offered you employment. And so early on in your LMS journey, you knew that credential can open all these other doors, and that freed you from feeling committed or beholden to a particular job, so that if they weren't paying what you felt like you were worth, which is a lot, and or mistreating you, you knew early on in your LMSW journey, that you could go to other employers and they would treat you well.
Yes. Actually, I'm happy you said the dialysis clinic. The director, he was like, you should be grateful. We're offering 75 with a new license. I said, I can get better. Just because he said what he said. He was like, you're great, but we don't have anything to compare it to. You new in this arena and stuff. Okay, I'll show you. I can do better. So I turned down your 75,000. No, no. And I feel okay with it.
These are the conversations I want to hear social workers having. This is exactly what I've been trying to preach to people. Turn it down and turn it down proudly, and then know that you definitely can do better. And will then, as you said before, your work will be seen because you show up in excellence, and then they're just going to be offering you money. They're just going to be offering you money. You're like, I don't know, we'll see.
Right. No, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? but I just knew my phone would not stop ringing.
Mm.
I mean, people still call to ask, am I looking for something? With the state, they're asking me for interviews, calling. I heard about you. You used to work for early intervention. I know you used to work for so and so. I'm like, yeah, but right now I'm not looking. Just keep me on the register. If I have to reapply in 2 years, I will. But thank you for the opportunity.
If I need to, but I have this other idea I'm working on, right?
Right. Right.
Perfect. I love it. And so, Alicia, I loved our talk today. It's been so inspiring, empowering. I hope that other folks feel inspired and empowered. But if not, our last question is in hopes that you could inspire others. So, what advice would you give to social workers who are going to be entering the field over the next few years, since this is the fastest growing profession, one of the fastest growing professions, and or any final words of wisdom, not even just to new social workers, but to OGs like me?
So I did write this one down because I really want to be able to get it out. Because, like I told you before, I wish I was informed about a platform like this. I'm happy about my journey, but I do think it could have went different. So what I want to tell people, especially goddesses on here, is to not become stagnant or complacent. Know that you can go out to get your license if you want to, but it will open up doors that you believe have been nailed shut. I say to implement self-care, establish a social network, a community. The goddess of social work, I mean, we share intimate moments with marriages and babies being born, and continuing education units talk about travel social work, which I didn't know that was a thing. So you can't go on this journey alone. Being in a community, even if you finish your hours, I would still love to be in the group messenger about what's going on, to keep up with everybody, and to never give up and give yourself grace. Like you said, defeat is not the end result. Give yourself grace. Hey, I may mess up or something like that, but seek supervision from someone. You don't have to be in supervision, but you know how I always call and use you because I can right now. But prior to even being in here, I thank you so much for even helping me through grad school. I would call and say, hey, Renita, you know what I'm saying? Am I on the right track? And what I like is you didn't just tell me the answer. You really tried to make me think about it. You wanted me to be able to verbalize and talk about it using the correct terminology to make sure, hey, go read this, go to the Troy library, to look at these different literature reviews and how to collect data. I just loved it, for your guidance. Also, I think it's very important, you guys, every day what I do for myself is I self-reflect about the day to ensure that I'm not, being overwhelmed, the burnout, to seek advice, to have a counselor. I'm doing it like you said before. Make sure we have insurance. Make sure you have a counselor because we go through so much. And what I learned is not to always bring it home to vent to my husband because they don't want to hear that. And even coworkers, you don't want to make that a habit as well when you get home and you need to detach from the job, to have a separate entity when it comes to that. And to stop, think, and act. I learned to be slow to respond to make sure my words reflect who I really want people to believe who I am. So I can say something, but I can be moving differently. So I think all of us should really do that because the people, the goddesses that are coming behind us, you guys are looking. We have to lead this path. So that's what I want to leave with you guys.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. And you know what the phrase that came, you are practicing what you preach, right?
Mhm.
Because we talk about that too. It usually shows up in imposter syndrome. And I tell people, well, if you're telling clients to do this, that, and the other, and you're unwilling to do it, that's why that imposter syndrome starts to pop up because you feel like a fraud, right?
Mhm.
But here you are, you have this authentic group in a place where you're trying to instill hope, where they're taking hope away at every little crooked nanny, and you're trying to instill hope, and you're telling these women this thing, and they can leave you because you're practicing it in your own life. You're
Yes, ma'am.
practicing the stop, think, and act
Mhm.
in your own life. And, people say our clients can tell if you're telling the truth or not. And I believe that. And so even though they're not in your day-to-day life, they know that stop, think, and act works because you are doing it in your own practice, and you're reflecting that for them. And that's how we prevent imposter syndrome, which is also how we prevent burnout, because I think we get closer and quicker to burnout when we feel like we are a fraud. So the fact that you're practicing what you preach, that's
Oh
it.
yeah. I'm
Mhm.
always firm, fair, and consistent with everyone. So no one won't think I'm doing something for someone that I won't do with the others. Boundary setting is huge, especially for myself, because I have that helper syndrome where I want to go in and overstep colleagues and stuff. It's like, no, boundaries. And they can learn much more from that, because everything just won't come to you like that. You have to understand patience and understand, if it's not for you, I just can't help. We can't do anything about it. So you have to learn how to take that too. So that's why
I said a couple months ago on a podcast episode, we're going to get some merchandise for it. But a boundary a day keeps the burnout away.
yes.
Keep the boundaries up, goddesses. Keep your boundaries up. Alisihia, this has been such an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the Goddesses of Social Work podcast. It's just been such a joy.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Goddesses of Social Work podcast. We are glad you were here. If you like this episode, please come back to hear more stories of the journeys through social work, and please leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. See you next time here on the Goddesses of Social Work podcast.